What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with the RK Outpost, and when The Witcher Season 1 dropped a year ago on Netflix, it seemed like at least for a while the entire world was talking about it. And obviously audiences absolutely loved it. It immediately became one of Netflix's most watched things in history. But one thing a lot of us were saying, myself included, was hold on for Season 2, because the criticism that a lot of people did have, even people that love the show, is that they wish they would have gotten more Geralt. They wish they would have gotten more Henry Cavill as the Witcher, but maybe those things would change in Season 2. Well, they certainly did change, and not for the better. And you can see that directly with the audience reaction, from a 91% all the way down to a 61%. But the critics all of a sudden loved The Witcher, which they didn't for Season 1. They thought it was fine, but now they're absolutely in love with it. And why is that? Well, of course, it's because they decided to focus on diversity and representation. And instead of giving us more of what everybody wanted, more Henry Cavill as The Witcher, I know, tough to want that in a show called The Witcher, yet nonetheless, that's what the fans were asking for. Instead, it focused heavily on so many of the different female characters. Not that there aren't great female characters in The Witcher, there absolutely are, but it's clear that that's where this show is going, and the audiences don't like it. And also, it's clear that maybe some people who are working on this, you know, like the writer, the executive producer, and the showrunner, Lauren Histrich, they may be feeling the need to defend their product at this point, because she had a very interesting response to some very, very light criticism of her show. And you can see her right here. Actually, I'm the strong, independent woman you're looking to blame for your sadness. And she's replying to our buddy, The Quartering. Jeremy over here puts his thoughts out, and I think a lot of people actually completely agree with him, which is one of the reasons that Lauren Histrich probably decided she needed to respond. Jeremy puts out, Henry Cavill has been totally wasted on The Witcher. Geralt continues to play second or third fiddle on his own show because, well, Netflix. The writers are so obsessed to force the strong, independent women who don't need no man, they ignore why most of us wanted to watch. Don't get me wrong, I like Yen and etc., but they have way too much screen time. Season 2 is a slight improvement from Season 1, but not enough to make me really anticipate a Season 3 in any meaningful way. And I think that last part, I think most people feel like there was actually more of a focus on some of these other characters in this one, and they're definitely not getting the show that they thought they were getting originally. Well, as we pointed out, Lauren Histrich decided to respond. Now, she wasn't tagged in that. He didn't even name her directly, but she decided she was going to respond in this way. And whenever something like this happens, whenever a big-time Hollywood producer, a director, whatever, responds to a random comment that they're not tagged in any way, shape, or form, they're just talking about their product, it makes you wonder. Now, maybe they just stumbled upon it, maybe they got sent it, whatever, but it makes you wonder, are they defensive about something? And I think in this case, that might be true, because the numbers are out for The Witcher Season 2 and how it stacks up to The Witcher Season 1. And although the headlines read like this, The Witcher Season 2 joins Netflix's most viewed TV of all time. When we go down here and we actually look at the numbers, I don't think it's this massive positive thing they're trying to spin it to be. When you look at The Witcher Season 1, the third most watched thing in its first 28 days that Netflix has ever had in terms of hours, not number of times viewed, but hours watched. So when you look at something like Cobra Kai, it's tough for it to really get up here because they're very short episodes, 20, 25-minute episodes, which are nearly hour-long episodes. And so is basically the rest of these things as well. But The Witcher Season 1, 541 million hours viewed in the first 28 days. The Witcher Season 2, 462.5 million over the first 28 days. You may be asking, well, maybe it just released a few weeks ago. We only have a couple days to go. There's 3 days left until it hits that mark, which means it's coming in very much short of Witcher Season 1. And after all this hype, the positive response, you would think that Season 2, for a lot of shows, is where it actually hits its stride. It has all the good momentum from a great Season 1, gets a whole new audience and fan base that are looking forward to it. A lot of times Season 2 is the highest rated for some of these shows. And then it depends kind of how it goes from there. But this shows me that a lot of people were not as into The Witcher Season 2 as they expected. This is a pretty drastic drop-off. Even if you factor in a couple more days, you're still looking about a 15% drop in ratings from Season 1 of this show, which I'm not sure a whole lot of people expected. And there were a lot of reactions to Lauren Histrich and her going after The Quartering in that way. You're also, this is critical, Drinker, you're also the person who wanted to throw a cheap joke into the Roach death scene. And it was only Henry Cavill who persuaded you, a quote, professional writer, what a terrible idea that it was. I don't think you have a whole lot to boast about right now. And of course, it was like one of the most impactful moments in this season for a lot of people was, I guess, spoiler alert, but it's out there now, the Roach death scene when his horse dies. And Henry Cavill didn't want it to be an MCU joke. That's what Lauren Hisrich wanted for this series. He had to convince her that, no, why don't we actually go to the source material? Let's go to the books and get a good line for this, begging them to do it. And finally, they listened to Henry Cavill, which is something they should be doing all the time because he obviously knows more about the source material than these people do. And you can see a lot of people are responding that way. Look at this person. Well, Henry Cavill's my favorite part of the show, and Geralt is the most interesting part of the series. The scenes with him are the best of the series, but the focus on and the tokenization of the female cast was inevitable with it being on Netflix. I don't love it, but shrug. And you can clearly see here, you have the characters and how they're described. Young Triss with beautiful blue eyes and auburn hair. Of course, very similar in the video games, not quite so much in the live action. Now, Yennefer is pretty much spot on in my opinion. I think Yennefer is pretty well cast, but Fringilla, not quite so much. Fringilla is supposed to be pale. She's supposed to have green eyes and close crop hair. Not exactly what they did. I wouldn't categorize this actor as pale. Did it well in the games, not so much live action Netflix. And then Lauren Hisrich continues on talking about the quartering. He's a grown man. This is in response to a meme. Truly is a meme, but there's some reality in it about Jeremy peeing in his basement because for some reason, if that's all you have to go on, if that's all you have to attack someone on is the fact that they peed in the unfinished part of their basement in a drain, I don't know what to tell you. I wish I had a basement here in Florida so I could do the same thing instead of having to go all the way upstairs. Dudes pee outside. It's not that big of a deal, but that is what a lot of people want to make it into. So the quartering does respond. So you want to get personal? Look, lady, I just said I didn't like season 2 of your show. So you question my manhood? Not very progressive, Lauren. And Nerdrotic says, yeah, you struck a chord. Views must be down. And indeed, I think it's safe to say they are, as I just showed you. I do think that's why she's reacting this way, because the reception for Witcher Season 2 has definitely not been the same as it was for Season 1. And I do just want to point out that Lauren Hisrich did get absolutely ratioed with this. Let's see, 214 comments to 44 likes. And you look at this, I mean, this destroyed it right here. This got 700 likes right there. This is 162 likes. So many people in the comments section ratioing her on her own tweet, on her own thread. Not a great look if you're the writer, the executive producer, and the showrunner for The Witcher. But I think it's safe to say why this is happening. It's because the reception isn't as good. The fans don't like it. The fans are going away. And that's what they do with these franchises. They try to get you in there with a decent season 1, with a great male lead like Henry Cavill, who's perfect for Geralt. And then they focus on things that aren't Geralt. A lot of fans aren't going to like it, but the people that make it are just going to lash out at those fans instead of look inward and realize that they are the ones who are driving people away. Let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.